telling us what famous voices you're well known for?
Yes, I'm Barbara Goodson. I'm well known, I suppose, the most for Empress Rita Repulsa on Power Rangers. And I'm here at the Robotech convention because I played Marie Crystal and Sarah, the Invid.
Nice. And you also have done some pretty big video game work too, if I'm correct.
A couple of things, yeah. Lady Vosh on World of Warcraft. And I'm blanking out now.
A very big one from Nippon Ichi.
Oh, are you talking about Naruto?
Laharl.
Laharl! Yes,
That's the big one.
Of course, Laharl, Disgaea.
Yes. And you've done every incarnation of Laharl so far, right?
Yes, I have. I am Laharl.
That-
Be Laharl.
All right. So, I guess, what's your take on this culture? What's your take on this convention and the culture it brings?
I love it. I didn't realize, I mean, I know it's been going on forever because Rebecca just told me that she did it when she was at Min-May back in the 80s and in New York, and that was shocking. I didn't realize that the conventions had been going on, but she dressed in the costumes then. Whereas now, you're all dressed in these incredible costumes, and it's fabulous. It's wonderful. I mean, it's not, for me, I'm the other end. I'm the voice end.
Mm-hmm.
But to watch this other culture exist, it's, I think it's fascinating, and I've learned a lot, too.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll get the next question if you don't mind. What originally inspired you to become a voice actress?
Well, I wanted to, like everyone else, I studied acting in New York. I wanted to be the biggest film star, Broadway, the regular, mainstream acting areas that everyone wants to when they start out. And when I found this niche, it was basically, instead of waiting tables, to tell you the truth. I mean, the dubbing was, I fell into it early on. I was doing a play called Company, which is a Stephen Sondheim play. And I was playing the crazy bride Amy, and the bass player in the company said, my friend, my ex-wife, who's my friend still, does this stuff called anime, and you'd be good at it because you're good with fast-paced speaking. And I had written a cartoon tape to fall into doing commercials of voiceovers as another way of waiting for my ship to come in as the Meryl Streep dream. And I rattled that off to her, and she gave me this job doing anime, which at the time was not even any time codes. It was like 3 seconds. Do this line in 3 seconds. Do this line in 2.5 seconds. And then they threw it in, and they were fine with it. I don't know where that stuff went. But as time went on, it became more of a creative experience that I love doing, and I also made so many good friends in voiceover that I kind of started to enjoy it more because the egos were less.
Go ahead.
So what would you say your greatest hardship or obstacle in your career has been? I mean, whether it was a character or maybe a bad director or something like that.
That's a good question. Well, this is pretty intense. I was pregnant before my first son before my son Andrew with my first son, and I was dubbing when I was getting some cramping, and I forced myself to continue the session, and I went home, and I had to be hospitalized, and I lost the baby. And that was 7 months. I was 7 months pregnant with Sean. And, I think, should I have canceled the session? But I think, according to the doctor, it was inevitable. So, but that was a huge hardship for me. Was there a second part of that question?
I was asking in general, like what your greatest hardship was, whether it was like just something like that, or maybe some people just say they have really horrible directors that they can't work with.
Well, I got fired from my first dubbing job. it was the same company I'd been working for, and they finally put in time codes. And I didn't know how to do it, but I did my best, and they said, that was fine, that was fine. And the next day I went in to continue the job, and another person was there. They didn't even call me. They said that your line was busy. So I drove, which is like 45 minutes to do the job, and they fired me at the job with the other person there. It was so humiliating. So I'd say that was way back when, but I learned how to dub.
So,
Showed them.
I have a question for you. Now, you did Robotech back in the 80s.
Yes.
And as far as its popularity, it waned a little bit.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, in like 2000 era, you saw a huge resurgence of Robotech, like merchandise starting to pop up everywhere and is getting back on TV.
Yeah.
How did that feel, seeing something that you worked on that long ago come back all of a sudden, without just out of the limelight?
It's surreal. I mean, first of all, being an actor is surreal to begin with. It's a Zen way of life, because you just put it out there, and whatever comes back to you, you take if it's what you want, and you never know. You know, in your own world, you're just like, you're yourself. And I can run a lot of numbers on, I never made it, I didn't, I'm not accomplished, blah, blah, blah. The chatter that all us actors deal with. And then there's this other side where you're part of a cult of such a magnitude that it just shows you that life is so extraordinary and wonderful. Because if you stick with one negative way of thinking, it's a lie. And then if you get overly confident about who you are, you get shot down, and you find out that you're not so hot after all. So it really keeps you on your toes, and I love the fact that this has come back, because it is, first of all, Carl, I spoke to him right before he passed away in Pittsburgh, and we were going to get together and do some interviews, and he was having his resurgence with this, and then that happened, and that was like another outrageous thing. He was in such great shape, and that happened. And here we are doing this, and I may be doing something next month, or hopefully, with Robotech again. So I'm really excited about it. I love the way that the world tells its own story when you're just walking around it.
Oh, yeah.
Some people are really afraid of where the industry's going. We have issues with piracy and stuff, and houses in Japan have fallen.
Yes.
At the same time, the influx in the West, it's still getting more and more popular. There's more and more spreading user base. From your vantage inside of it, what's your take on where the industry's at and where it's going?
Well, I'm not doing much anime. I have one show in Los Angeles, Kakaishi.
Okay.
Tokiko, I think is her name. Other than that,
Oh,
nothing.
Fair enough.
Nothing. I mean, there's Bleach, I think, is still running, and I may get called in to do some, a miscellaneous character or something. With the pirating, I think that's hurt us a lot. But I know that being around life long enough, things do have resurgences.